Welcome back to Cheddar News. So 2022 could be the year that we really feel the power of 5G. The next generation of mobile technology will offer increased speed and responsiveness of wireless networks for things like phones, cars, and Wi-Fi routers. There are already more than 100 million 5G subscribers in the U.S. and more than 1 billion around the world. Global operators started launching 5G networks in early 2019, and all major phone manufacturers are already making 5G phones. But 2022 could be a year where more consumers and companies make the actual transition. Here now to discuss is founder and president of the cell tower consulting firm Vertical Consultants, Hugh Odom. And Hugh, you and your company said there will be 3 key ways that 5G technology will change our world in 2022, with one being how businesses operate both in the office and remotely. Explain.
Well, the big thing here is we're going to be able to cut the cord. The businesses are going to be able to cut the cord. Reliance right now is basically into broadband connections and those sorts of wired connections. As the 5G network continues to expand, you're going to be able to have increased productivity and enhanced speed and performance from your wireless network. More than 40 million people moved into the remote areas of working remotely here in the last few years. A lot of those are going to stay there. And that's going to grow to up to 100 million people working without a traditional desk in the next 3 or 4 years. So you're going to need that wireless technology to not only have that efficiency, but also to be able to work remotely and not be tied into the broadband system we're currently hooked into. And 5G is ever growing and going to be able to provide that in a way that 4G never could.
Now, your company has also said that 5G will change the telemedicine market in 2022. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, this is really a big step because the telemedicine industry became more and more prevalent with COVID, especially in rural areas, because in rural areas, you don't have access to healthcare facilities, doctors right there near you. So with 5G, you'll have 2 big things. You'll have the reliability to have telemedicine appointments and visits with your doctor or healthcare provider, unlike you'd have if you had a situation without 5G. The other thing is really interesting is we're going to go into a lot of wearables. And what I mean by that is kind of like a Fitbit or your Apple Watch, but it promotes or basically tracks your healthcare, and that can provide real-time data to your doctor and healthcare provider and help in being able to treat situations or monitor you with situations that you may have and need to be on top of.
Now, your company also said that supply chain management could be impacted by 5G. How so?
Well, with the big supply chain issue we come into in 2021, a lot of that is tied into lack of resources, lack of people and employees, lack of areas that truckers and things to move product around. 5G will provide a couple different things. 5G will provide a better way to track product from manufacturing to distribution, or warehouse to distribution, and you'll know where your products are getting stuck and be able to deal with those issues at a more real-time way than you are right now. The second big thing is going to be efficiency. And you're going to have with 5G network, and as you mentioned, a lot more speed, a lot more lower latency and ability to handle autonomous vehicles and equipment. That means you need less people on hand. That means that you have more efficiency to get things produced and warehouse and distribution channels through the distribution channels throughout the United States.
So who are some companies that are poised to be big players when it comes to 5G next year?
Well, I think there's three companies that we really look at. And we're an infrastructure company. We negotiate cell tower leases and for property owners, and we look at what the trends are. And the first player is Dish Network. Dish is the new player in the wireless industry. And why we say Dish is because they're on a land grab to go out and get sites under their belt, because they have to get 70% of the nation covered with 5G by 2023. That is a federal mandate. So you're going to see a lot of movement from Dish. They're going to be a competitor to the AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobiles of the world. The other thing there is they're forming some interesting partnerships with Amazon and other companies that put them in not only the consumers areas, but also the business areas. The other one is Skyworks Solutions. They're a semiconductor manufacturer. Their primary client is Apple for their phones, but they're really involved in other factors of the telecom industry with regards to infrastructure build out, with regards to autonomous vehicles and other products. So they are really going to move, we think, going to be a player in the 5G area as well. The third is a company we deal with a lot, which is Crown Castle. Crown Castle is the second largest tower developer, cell tower developer in North America. They are going to really benefit from the increased need of cell sites. With 5G, you're going to need between 500,000 to 1 million new cell sites in the next 4 to 5 to 6 years. And also they're tied into an agreement with Dish Network to build out sites for them because, as I mentioned before, Dish really needs to build out their network in a quick manner.
Now, Boeing and Airbus have reportedly sent a letter to the Biden administration to delay the rollout of new 5G wireless services, saying the technology could interfere with aircraft equipment and cause safety issues. So what are your thoughts about this, and are you aware of any issues that could arise from 5G?
Well, it's been an ongoing issue here especially the last few weeks. And the big issue, as you mentioned, is with the equipment, more particularly the altimeters. And the altimeters basically control or basically show a plane how far they are from the ground when they're getting close to landing, their altitude. And the issue comes into play. The aviation industry and the FAA have said, hey, 5G, more particularly C-band 5G, which AT&T and Verizon are scheduled to push out in early January, is going to cause some interference. Where we see this and where the wireless industry has pushed back and said, look, we're not seeing any of these issues around the world in more than 40 countries. The big issue, we think, and what the wireless industry is pushing back on is saying, look, there is no standard setting on these altimeters, or more particularly the filters on these altimeters that control the altitude or determine the altitude. And because they're manufactured by different companies, and there's no standard. If you have a standard, then the wireless industry can calibrate and determine what the issue may be. But we really think the issue is more in hands of the aviation industry than the wireless industry. And the other thing here is the aviation industry has known about the 5G rollout for years. It's not like this just popped up on the radar a few months ago or last year.
All right. Hugh Odom, founder and president of Vertical Consultants. Hugh, thank you so much for your insight and wisdom on 5G. I appreciate your time. Now, coming up, DoorDash has an unusual request for